Well, now, I was asked a question about manifesting. And so I thought, well, perhaps I had ought to address manifesting a little bit more fully. Certainly in my tarot card readings, you'll hear it's something I talk about. I've got to admit it is something I do. But the reason why I've not really thought of addressing it is it's not a preoccupation of mine. It's not something that's central to my beliefs. It's just something I know is there. And in fact, to a certain degree, to pull it out as a separate subject doesn't really fit in with my beliefs. So I guess that's why I've not done it. But of course, I'm sure a lot of you are very interested in manifesting, and you will be getting messages from other people about manifesting, some of which I'm a little bit dubious about. So is this me setting the record straight? Maybe that's putting it too strong. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. Now, this is part of a new section to the magic of Java called The Real Magic of Java. In this new section, I'm going to focus on real people performing what they believe to be real magic in Java. I'll attempt to explain some of the elements of this Javanese magic, particularly what I describe as the Kajawan elements. However, I need to warn you that inevitably my explanations will be partial. Maybe sometimes some elements of what I say will be incorrect, for which I profusely apologise. But this reflects the oral tradition of magic in Java, the mystery, and at times, I have to admit, subterfuge surrounding the practice of magic in Java. Please accept my apologies, but I do hope you enjoy this new section. Do you remember when you started a new subject, a subject you'd never been taught before at school? And the first thing they did was define what the subject was. And I feel a bit like I'm doing that at this moment in time. Yeah, and they always end up by saying some sort of stupid, crass statement like economics is everything, didn't they? Well, believe me, I'm not going to tell you manifesting is everything. At its very, very simplest, and you'll not hear many people say it like this, and really this maybe comes later because it's a higher level of understanding, but I'm going to put it straight off because it is its simplest. And that is our environment, the world around us, the universe, actually does reflect how we feel, as opposed to we reflect how the environment is. So, you know, there's a good deal of you who go round life blaming fate, blaming chance, blaming everybody else for how they feel, when the truth is the absolute opposite. If we can raise our vibrations, then the environment seems better. Now, I know that seems very odd to a few of you, but it's absolutely true. So happiness comes from within. The way to be happy is to think happy. Sounds glib, and I'll explain a little bit more. I mean, this isn't about how to raise your vibrations, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Where most people start with manifesting is, I suppose, at its simplest, it's wishing. Wishing for something to happen. Wishing for something. You might say, well, why do it? Why wish? Well, I don't know. But that wonderful, wonderful chaos magician celebrity, Grant Morrison, says, And I can't do a Glasgow accent well enough, so I won't attempt. Because it works, why wouldn't you? So it does work. I mean, it does. It doesn't always, but it does work. Why does it work? And again, I think this is taking us beyond the sort of glib New Age views of manifestation to answer why it works. Because the New Age, or certainly, you know, manifestation, it gets mixed up with things like the law of attraction and these things that are almost sort of business psychology, you know, they're commercial products, as it were. And it gets mixed up with that. And really what they are, just as business psychology, I would argue, is magic stripped of its purpose. Then the New Age really strips manifestation of its theory and its morals. So you know me, I'm going to put those back into it for you. The New Age also they claim, and I'm a bit dubious, but they claim that there's something they call as without, so within, which is clearly about manifestation. But they claim it to come from the Emerald Tablet, which is supposedly written by Hermes Trismegistus or Thoth during the Greco-Egyptian period. Some people claim that he dates back even earlier, and he was before the Greco period in Egypt. In fact, I don't believe that you can trace it any earlier than around 850 to 950, and that's AD. And you can attribute it to Jabir ibn Hayyan and it's contained in Kitab Ustustus al-uss al-thānī. So the original texts for the Emerald Tablet come from Arabic, but they've been changed and translated many times, so it's very hard to know what the original is, and if indeed that phrase, as without, so within, how far back you can trace it. What I would certainly say is that it can be traced as far back as Madame Helena Blavatsky, the founder of philosophy, and therefore, and she's not often credited with it, but credit where it's due, she is the founder of the New Age. What the Emerald Tablet does say is, as above, so below. And what that does express is how God is within us all. The all is pure consciousness, which I would argue is God's consciousness. Well, most people would argue is God's consciousness. Now, I know you've all been saying, come on, how do you manifest? How do you do it? So I'm going to tell you now. First of all, you set your goal. So you need to be clear about what it is you want to achieve. And once you do that, you ask the universe for it. You can do this in prayer, you can do it in meditation. But you just set your intention. You set your intention and you ask for what you want. It probably works better if you say it out loud. It probably works better still if you write it down on paper. It may even work better still if you write it down on paper and then burn it and forget about it. If you want a great description of this sort of writing it down or turn it into sigils, please do look at Grant Morrison again. Yeah, Grant Morrison. The Chaos Magician, absolutely wonderful on it. And although I'm a bit dismissive of this, writing it down, the truth is, on this channel, I've written 4 books now, and turned them into audiobooks. And, everything I wrote in that book started to come true. So there is something about writing things down. There really is. What I'd also say to you is, you've got to shorten the odds. So if you wish for something, maybe you say, I want to win the lottery. Well, you're not going to win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket, are you? You know what I mean? You've got to do something. And maybe, just maybe, winning the lottery is giving the universe too much to do. You know, your chances of winning the lottery are fairly slim. So it works best. It works best if you've got reasonably short odds. I'm not saying don't go for long odds stuff, but you know, if you want to be happily surprised, go for the short odds. And you work towards the goal. You don't say, okay, I've had this wish, I've written it down, I've sent it off, I've bought my lottery ticket. Well, lottery ticket's a bad one now. You want to get a book published. You've written your book, but you don't send it to any publishers. You know, you've got to work towards your goals. And maybe it's better to set goals around how you feel, rather than something like, I want money, or I want $1 million. Maybe it's better to say, I want happiness. Now, a lot of people would disagree with me, because the world can get the universe can get these things wrong. But I think it's better to express how you would feel. You see, you'll find me arguing time and time again that money doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. It certainly means nothing in the spirit world. So is it not better to talk about things that are seemingly have something real about them, and that would be your feelings? As I say, people do say your goal needs to be specific, because of often you don't get things quite as you expected them, although they may be as you articulated them. So, for example, if you sent out to the universe that you want more money, the universe might answer you, and you might find a dime the next day on the floor. Wasn't quite what you were thinking of, was it? So that's why people say, you know, be specific, I want $1 million. But, you know, chances are if you say you want $1 million, it'll not work out as you want. So that's why I think it's better to have your feelings there. I envisage how it will feel when I get what I want, and actually see that in my mind and feel it. Probably during a meditation, probably doing that during meditation. So if you want a new house, imagine yourself in that house, what it would look like, what it would feel like. Now, I have a theory that I call the many universes, that broadly speaking, I think I'm fairly wedded to, although I do change my views sometimes, as you'll know. And that is that there are many, many universes out there. And each one, you might want to call them parallel universes. Each one is very similar to each other. But there are a few critical differences. So what you're doing by manifesting is moving from one of those universes to another universe. That's all you're doing. You're going from a universe in which you didn't have something to a universe that you do have something. So even though you think it sounds crazy, if you can accept this concept, and magic is all about accepting the concepts. It's all about bending, if you like, physics in your mind. So if you can accept that there are many universes and all you're doing is skipping from one to another, then it can happen, can't it? However, having said that, don't push too hard. Don't try to make it happen. Don't push against what the universe wants for you. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, you have to be mindful of and thankful for what you receive. You should always thank God, the universe, for what you have and what you get and what is coming to you. I do it almost 5 times a day. And I do it. I do it 5 times a day in my prayers. Always thank God for what I have, what I've got, and what is coming to me. And this creates a positive attitude and raises your vibration. So I said I'd talk about raising vibrations. Well, that's one clue to it. just simply thank God for what you've got, what you're getting. But make sure that you check your energy, change your energy. This is raising your vibration. How do you do that? Well, get to know yourself, understand yourself better. You've got to love yourself. You've got to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't raise your vibration. Let go of fear. Let go of fear. Take the fear out of your life. Take time out for yourself. Give a little time for yourself. Now, I'm recording this. I'm actually stuck in lockdown in Jakarta. So I'm away from my gorgeous mountains in Java, and I miss them. Why do I miss them? Well, I miss them because I need to get out in nature. I really need to get out. It's the way I unwind. I need to get out in nature. Goodness knows when I'll be able to, but take some time out for yourself. Whatever it is that makes you relaxed, make you what you want to do. What you want to do, then do it, and become conscious. Become conscious of what's happening. How do you do all those things you're shouting at me? Well, it's coming as no surprise, is it? It's meditation. Now, you've got to let go of any resistance and limiting beliefs you may have. The biggest obstacle is you. So, this is what I say about fooling yourself about the physics, if you like. Not believing that it will work will cause it not to work. Being anxious that it's not working, it's not happening quickly enough. It doesn't seem to be working. It won't if you're that anxious. Just relax. Just relax. Again, meditate to resolve these issues. Now, it sounds like I'm giving glib answers now, and I want to assure you, I'm not. Here I am in Indonesia. You may know, I used to teach at a major business school, one of the world's major business schools, in fact. I then started a number of high-tech companies. And I've come to Indonesia, and effectively, I can't work. I mean, Indonesian politicians would argue with me, but they're not the foreigner trying to work here, are they? I am. Effectively, I can't work in Indonesia. And effectively, well, I can tell you, every business, everything I've tried to do has been sabotaged. Well, that might be putting it too strongly, but, nothing has gone right. And that's because there is a jealousy amongst Indonesian people that says that foreigners should not make money in their country. Now, if I keep on holding to those ideas that I will never make money in Indonesia, then I never will. So you have to believe in something, don't you? You have to release those. So I don't say it glibly. What I would say to you is, though, you've got to be flexible. You've got to trust in the process. Don't expect exactly what you want to simply drop in your lap. Do trust that the universe has a plan that's better than yours. Often we don't get what we want, and we have to accept that it's in our best interests. God knows best, trust the process. Now, I don't think I've mentioned time here, have I? Only in passing. And I really ought to mention time. Because you see, the time doesn't mean anything in the spirit world. Time has no meaning. It's a human constraint, human construct. It has no meaning whatsoever. So my experience of manifesting is, even very big things, I get what I want. It's not that I don't get them, but I get them. But I get them after I no longer want them. So some magicians see this as sort of releasing it. I've said you have to release it. But some magicians see it as releasing it, that they have a formal way, such as burning you've written your goal down and you burn it and forget about it. So I guess that is a way of doing it. But for me, I've just, I've got things years after I cared about them. Often some major things, I wanted to be a Northern Soul DJ so very, very badly as a young man. Not just a Northern Soul DJ, but at all-nighters. And my time came. I used to DJ at Bradford all-nighters. But I couldn't give a damn when it happened. Couldn't have cared less. It was just something to do. I mean, I was happy, don't get me wrong. I was happy, but, the time had gone. And it's that, that time doesn't mean anything to the universe. So, you getting anxious, it's not working. It is working, it's just not working in your time scale. And so just relax, just give in. What I can tell you is I really do believe it works. It does work. It just doesn't work the way you always want it to. Now, my critique of so many YouTube videos on manifesting is that they seem to do so within a moral vacuum. Now, it's not my job to teach you morals, and I'm not going to. But I am going to say you have to consider morals. You do have to consider morals. So I suppose one of the questions is it ethical to manifest? And I don't have an answer for that because of this is something that crops up in my daily jihad. Is it ethical for me to be doing this? And I can't give a definitive answer from it. It's something I consider very deeply. What I would say to you is that black magic is imposing your will on others. And that includes asking for others to be harmed. But it doesn't need a ceremony to be magic. So you don't have to dress up in funny clothes, dance around naked at midnight with a group of people and kill a ram on the Shropshire Hills. There's much more to magic than simply that. So the evil eye comes from jealousy and wishing harm onto others. Now, the Messianic Muslims don't see the evil eye as being black magic. They still see it as haram, but they make a distinction. But I would say that's black magic. That's black magic. It's the same thing. The intention is there. So what I'm saying is you don't need the ceremony for the intention to work. What I can tell you is if you engage in black magic, so if you impose your will on others, so that would probably include most love magic, wouldn't it? Certainly asking for favours. I don't want to use the word because I'm worried about YouTube. You know what I mean. Asking for favours for someone you like, from magic. Well, I'd include that in it. So if you do engage in black magic, there will be bad karma. And that won't be just for you, but for 7 generations of your ancestors. And I know about this because of so much of the work I do up in Java, the mountains in Java, is about resolving this karma. It is about dealing with karma for people and removing the bad karma. So, a big warning against using manifestation, magic, whatever you want to, the evil eye, whatever you want to call it, for dark purposes, because there is karma and it will get you, or it'll get your ancestors. The other thing is, though, it goes a lot further than this. The universe seeks balance. So you can say for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You might want to extend that a lot further, change for everything. There's an equal and opposite reaction. And that means that if you ask for something, you will have to forfeit something. Now, some magicians try to trick the universe with sacrifice. But I believe that the universe is much more subtle than these magicians. You don't trick spirits in. Well, they might trick the odd spirit, but they're not tricking the universe. And, because it seems to work, it's seductive, isn't it? Because you use these sort of forms of sacrifices, it seems to, you seem to be getting away with it. And you get deeper and deeper into it, don't you? And that's the thing, you're deeper and deeper into this bad karma. Now, there's a famous black magician on YouTube. Gives you the impression that everything is fine, but just look at his eyes. Just look at his eyes. I'm sure you can see what I do. Now, if nothing else, this sort of trick, this Heathcliff-like seduction. Supposing you ask for money, it's insatiable. It's insatiable. The Romans used to say that money is like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. It'll never be quelched. If you look at the wealthy, they're absolutely consumed with greed. They can't get enough money. They started off by manifesting money, saying, oh, if I could just have a little. Now they want all the money in the bloody world. And they'll still not be happy. They'll not be happy even if after they've destroyed us. Now, you may know I've got this sort of view of automata. You could call them meat golem. You might even call them, forgotten. Forgotten, it's gone. Anyway, I call them automata. And that is, I believe that people get caught up in things like greed. And what they do, and these people, I do have a theory that maybe they're narcissists and psychopaths. And they become it. And what it is, they give up their free will to the will of others. So they buy in that greed is good, if you like, and they give over their lives to it, and they just follow that. They're no longer making decisions for themselves. They've given those decisions to a higher power, which is money, if you like. God, I believe, will judge them on having given up their free will because they no longer have it. But that's I think, the danger of manifesting. Now, I've done a series within this, The Real Magic of Java, which should come out soon, on Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. And in it, he says quite clearly, you can't have two gods. And so what that's saying very, very, very clearly is don't make money your god. Now, I'm not trying to say don't manifest money. I'm just sending a warning out to you. Because, sometimes the forfeit is worth the blessing. So, I'm not saying don't manifest. Even I manifest. I'm not saying don't do it. So let's think about, when would manifesting be okay? Well, what about if you manifest for others? Is that okay? What about if you manifest to create a better world? Surely these are fine. And if you're truly suppressing your ego, then yes, they are. Now, I have a friend. I call him a friend, but I've actually broken off contact with him because I've realised there's something rather dark about him. But he claims to be a deeply religious person. And he's actually gone blind, so he can't see people's reactions. But anybody within earshot, he lectures, probably goes as far as berating them about God and religion and morals. And seemingly, I say seemingly, this seemingly is why I've broken off contact with him. But go with the story for now. Yeah. And that is, before he lost his eyesight, he was quite a famous architect. And he's decided that God gave him the gift of being an architect. So he owes it to humanity to create something with architecture that is for the benefit of humanity. And as a result of his desire to do this, he's destroyed everything around him. everything around him. He's lost all his friends. He's not in contact with his family. Effectively, he's lost his wife. A long story, but, everything has been destroyed because of this ambition, this ego. So even if you think you're doing something for the good of humanity, just check yourself on it. Now, my favourite magician in the whole world is Josephine McCarthy, a woman of about my age, originally from Bradford, lovely woman. And she says that we should only ask for sufficient. And now, just finally, I want to explain this a little bit further. I've got a dilemma going on at the moment, and that is, of course, I do light work, but should I become a light worker? Should I use this light that I found to help others? And, thinking of this friend of mine that I've told you about, it goes backwards and forwards in my head. This is my daily jihad, if you like. And Madde, my wife, doesn't want me to. And in terms of understanding these sorts of things, understanding the higher veils of Kajawan, I know of nobody better. Now, this is a girl who left school at 12, went to school barefoot, left at 12, and yet she's the world's greatest philosopher and psychologist. She doesn't want me to, and there is, if you follow through the Buddhist logic, not that she's aware of the Buddhist logic, but if you follow through the Buddhist logic, there is actually a good reason for saying no. But when I was looking at the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, yes, I should. But I should only do so, and I understand that Jesus doesn't say this is me recognising, I should only do so if I can keep my ego in check. So I suppose what I'm saying is, above all, be guided by the light of love and bliss. And if you are, things won't go far wrong. Well, I really hope you've enjoyed this. Because these are real events, I can't say how regularly I'm going to be adding to this subsection. Because I don't know how often they're going to occur. But I would imagine that they'll be at least every couple of months, maybe monthly. Now, if you'd like to know when that's going to be, please subscribe and hit the button, and you'll get information on when new ones are released. I'd love you to make comments and ask questions, and if you do, I'll attempt to answer them as honestly as I can. I promise you that there's no attempt on this channel or this part of this channel of me. There'll be no attempt by me at any type of subterfuge. I'll try to be as honest and open as I possibly can be. Inevitably, there will be some of you who disagree with my interpretation, and we can agree to disagree. But what you're seeing is real stuff here. What I'd love you to do, if you enjoyed this, is look at my other sections. Particularly, I've written novels about magic in Java, and they contain much more information in them, especially me trying to understand the theories of magic, the psychology of it, and I try and intersperse them with a sort of spiritual dimension. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.